Tanks, beer, football, and girls in those German, what do they call them, costumes? I don't know, those, not Lederhosen, but the October Fest costumes. What else could you want? This is the Tuesday night edition of Real News Live. It is a Toxically Masculine Tuesday. I am your host, Mike Barra, in Las Vegas, Nevada, joined as I always am on Tuesday nights by those super equally masculine guys. To my immediate right, the man with whom you cannot spend 4 hours in a car without coming away smarter, Dr. Brooks Agnew, somewhere in the Carolinas. Brooks, how you doing tonight? What are you drinking? And how's the house coming along?
I'm doing great. It's been a long day. I am drinking coffee out of my camo glass. That's why you can't see it. It's camo mug.
In fact, we can't even see the mug on the screen right now. If you're holding it up, we don't see it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's really good camouflage. And the house is coming along pretty good. We passed our under slab plumbing inspection today. And tomorrow at 4:30, we're going to pass our foundation inspection. And that means we can start pouring concrete on Thursday. This is a good thing.
Oh, that is good. That's cool. And Brooks, of course, is so goddamn masculine. He is building his own house and a house for his kids. I mean, all in one swell foop. All right. Also joined tonight by my other buddy, I don't even know how to describe Steve Doran, the trail boss. He's now in the introductory video, which I really appreciated there. TV's Blake Wally taking care of that.
Yep.
From somewhere in Arkansas, the future sheriff of Izard County, the future governor of Arkansas, I'm the future Lord Commander of the U.S. Space Force, but Steve Doran's going to be a governor. Pretty good for him. The guy who taught me everything I know about guns, Steve Doran, somewhere in Arkansas. Steve, how you doing tonight? What are you drinking?
I am back to Mountain Valley spring water.
Good stuff.
I like the fizzy stuff, sparkling.
Yeah.
But you just made me draw a blank. I don't even. What question did you ask?
I was going to say, someday we're going to have to do a stream where you can talk about your experience, your health experience, and how changing your diet changed your life and saved your life. And I think that's. And of course, he's so fucking macho. He didn't even tell me he was sick because he didn't want me to know. Because
he worries.
That kind of guy.
You know what? Let me tell you something. Mike always acts like he's toxically masculine, but he worries all the time about his friends. So that's why I didn't tell him.
But I shoot my friends in the face too.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, but that's normal shit, right?
That's normal shit. Haven't you shot all of your friends in the face at some point?
No.
All right, guys. We will be joined a little bit later by TV's Blake Wally. He is going to be on site at the shit show known as the Democratic National Convention, and that I think is where we are going to start tonight. So let me get up here, get some sharing going on. And let's take a look at Dementia Joe from last night. Dude was fried.
Women are not without not without electoral. Women are not without electoral. Women are not without electrical.
If you didn't think this guy was absolutely fried last night, I can't help you. The guy was blasted out of his mind, totally demented, just an angry, old, mean motherfucker. and a complete complete mess. Absolutely dementia Joe. Absolutely cooked. Here's another clip that I really like where he's talking about Donald Trump, and I think there's some homoerotic shit that comes through here. Watch this.
Suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is? Suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
Okay, I think Joe actually what he was doing there, guys, I think he was actually fantasizing about jerking Donald Trump off, playing, of course, again the suckers and losers hoax, which is a complete hoax, which has been, everybody that was with Trump said he never said anything like that, and he wouldn't say anything like that. You remember, this is a guy who led the Columbus Day Parade, and when he was in the ROTC when he was a kid. When he was a cadet, he was 18 years old in New York City, and I got pictures of that if you want to see him. Guys, it was really interesting because they basically kept Dementia Joe off stage. They had AOC up there talking like a 14-year-old again. Why does she talk like she's 14 years old? I know she's got to have a more serious voice than that. She certainly has serious tits. But again, what did you think of it, Brooks? What did you think of this last night? They kept him till 11:30 Eastern time, so nobody would see him, and then he shows up just as blasted out of his mind, just as demented, just as proving that he needs to be removed from the Oval Office. Does he not?
I didn't watch any of it except I watched clips on TikTok. Every clip I saw from every speaker that I saw was full of hatred, racism, discrimination, lies. And by the way, they mentioned Trump's name more last night or yesterday than the RNC did during the entire convention.
Wow.
And the other strange thing is somebody, and I don't know how this got out, but it got into my Twitter feed. Somebody took a picture of the place yesterday while they were speaking. Speakers were up there speaking, and the place was a ghost town. There might have been 600 people in the whole place. It was crazy empty.
Yeah, it really was empty. And the other thing about that, again, you got to be careful because this is what the Democrats do, is they'll take a picture of a Trump rally 2 hours before and say, oh, there's nobody at Trump's rally, when, of course, there's tens of thousands of people there. We got to be careful not to do the same thing, but it certainly did look like it was different. You got to make sure it's at the same time. Their
speakers were at the mic. They were speaking.
But, the early speakers that start at 3 p.m, nobody shows up for that anyway, unless the arena has really good beer. So, we got to make sure that's a fair comparison. But it was sparsely attended, no question about that. Steve, do you think Joe is gay for Donald Trump with the whole hand motion thing? And what did you think of Joe's performance last night, if you even watched it?
Well, I did basically what Brooks did. It was easier just to watch the highlights and the things that were taken out. And it was all just so hateful and hostile. And those drugs that are being used by Biden, eventually they wear off. And so they can pump them full of all kinds of stuff, and it's not going to work. And I think he's about at the end of his rope where the medication just isn't effective anymore.
Yeah, I have to. I think that you reach that point where it just doesn't really do anything for you. Here's the really bizarre thing: of all the people that could have introduced Joe Biden last night, I would have thought they would not have picked the one who, in her diary, accuses her father of taking inappropriate showers with her, but yet that is exactly what they did. And again, I don't know what to think about this. I had it right here. Where did it go? Had it right here. Shit. I hate it when this happens. Twitter does this to me fairly frequently. Fuck. Sorry, guys. Likes.
Well, I just think there was a huge difference between the two conventions. When I watched the RNC, every single speaker was uplifting, patriotic, full of love, full of faith. It was well organized, one short talk after another. They just went on and on and on. And it was like that the entire from beginning to end. And the Democrats just can't speak. And the weird part is that when the Republicans have their convention, the Democrats protest. And when the Democrats have their convention, the Democrats protest.
Yeah, now we don't know about the Hamas protesters. There was a lot of rumors there was going to be some activity outside and some riots. There have been a few small incidents, but we're kind of waiting to see for Blake Wally's report on that. Yeah, here's what they did. They picked Ashley Biden to introduce her dad. And where did she go? She went straight to being 8 years old. No, Ashley.
I have this memory. It's the eve of my 8th birthday. I have this memory. It's the eve of my 8th birthday.
Yeah, let me complete the sentence for you, Ashley. And my dad comes in to the shower and rapes me. That's what you were going to finish that sentence with. Just bizarre, because it's actually in writing in a diary that everyone admits is really hers, where she talked about being a little girl and having inappropriate showers with Joe Biden. It's almost, I almost buy the whole scripting thing, that this is like some scripted takedown of the entire Democratic Party. Brooks, does it seem like that to you, or am I just wishfully thinking here?
No, I think that's what you're seeing is the implosion of the Democrat Party and the corporation of the Democrat Party. And what really is going to take it out is when the Federal Elections Commission makes their move on the source of all their money that they've been bringing, all these foreign sources of money. That's all illegal. You can't do that. And the FEC has real teeth. I mean, real teeth and jaws. And once they seize the money, the DNC's done. They're broke.
So what do you think, Steve? Joe Biden should not be in the Oval Office. He should be removed. He should absolutely be removed because he's obviously mentally unfit to be president. Why would they put him up on stage at all? They just fired him in a coup. I mean, there's the old joke. I got in trouble on Twitter for calling Kamala Harris "come swallow Horus." That's hateful conduct. It's like, no, it's not. It's political satire, by the way, which is totally protected. Elon, you fuckface. So it's political satire, but it's like, why would you put Dementia Joe up there to get the shit beat out of him like this?
Well, I think they have to. I mean, it's the president of the United States, which technically makes him the head of the Democratic Party. And so I don't think there's ever been a Democratic National Convention where the sitting Democratic president didn't attend. So it would be really weird not to have him there. But they should have really limited his time to about 3 minutes. He probably could have pulled that off.
Yeah, I mean, they really should. They should have set him up there for an hour to do that, because it got worse and worse and worse. But look, here's the thing: if this guy is that demented, how can anybody possibly justify him having his finger on the nuclear button? I mean,
they can't. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's put us in a very, I don't want to say Biden did, but Biden's handlers have put us in a very dangerous situation.
You can look at the headlines on Breitbart today. The Democrat National Convention platform is the re-election of Joe Biden. There's no mention.
That's Joe Biden. Yeah.
There's no mention of Kamala Harris. No mention of her.
No.
Now, the other thing that he did last night is he talked about me and Kamala Harris. So if Joe Biden was removed from the ticket illegally in an illegal, unconstitutional coup, right? Which he was, and then wouldn't you want to separate yourself from the Joe Biden administration, because it was Joe Biden that was polling so badly that was the reason they got rid of Joe Biden in the first place, or they got rid of him as a nominee in the first place. Yet Biden, what, you think Biden was fighting back? Do you think he was fighting back against the people that ousted him by reminding everybody that it was the Biden-Harris administration for the last 4 years?
Well, I mean, one of the things I was hoping that was going to happen is early on when they wanted him to go, if you remember, his comments were, "I'm not leaving," and he was going to expose Obama and Nancy Pelosi if they continued to pressure him to leave office. So I'm really curious, what happened there, why he didn't do it. And secondly, why he didn't bring it up, or maybe in his mind he was, giving the middle finger to the Democratic Party by saying what he said, or at least, like I said, in his mind. I mean, nobody else's mind, because he's not rational.
Yeah, well, that's what I think was going on, Brooks. And he kept reminding everybody they were the Biden-Harris administration to damage Kamala.
Well, I think what was happening is it wasn't really Joe at all. It was Jill and Hunter. Jill and Hunter needed Joe to stay in power. So they were the ones that were applying the pressure, because Jill sits on the board of several companies that are laundering billions of dollars in taxpayer money. She's getting a cut off that.
Yeah.
Hunter has so much going on with the Ukrainians and the Chinese. It's unbelievable. We haven't even scratched the surface. They said day before yesterday that they took in $27 million. $27 million in foreign donations. That's why the Biden family wouldn't let Joe back out.
Yeah. All of which, by the way, is also completely criminal and a felony and far more than anything Donald Trump did.
Isn't all that money gone now? It can't be transferred over to Kamala, right?
No, it can't be. It's all Biden money. And that's basically it. I mean, that was the thing with Obama, too. Obama didn't bring any money to the table. He brought no money to the table. The reason Obama picked Biden is because Biden had the money laundering operation through Ukraine. He could get the money into the campaign.
Yeah, and also people like Lindsey Graham and John McCain were getting huge chunks of money out of Ukraine, which is why when Donald Trump started sniffing around Ukraine, they tried to impeach him for it immediately. So
Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, they were all getting money through the Ukraine money stream.
Yeah. All right. So the plan is, with the Democrats, the plan is to pivot to Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris. I'm just going to keep saying that because I can. And it is not hateful conduct to say that. Elon, fuck you. But she's got her own problems that emerged this week, which is that it is apparent that, she's an alcoholic.
I'm pointing to the direction of what I believe is the Capitol. And what needs to happen in terms of people who otherwise have evidenced themselves having a feckless quality, to show some courage, to reject the false notion that suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away, when in fact it's just reasonable. I support the Second Amendment, but it's reasonable to say we need an assault weapons ban. It's reasonable to say we need universal background checks, that we need red flag laws. It's reasonable to say that if you want to deal with violence in the community, you also got to understand it's not only about mass shooting situations, which are horrific, and it's about everyday gun violence. I'm pointing to the direction.
There's that one, and then there's this one.
Everything is in context. My mother she would give us a hard time sometimes, and she would say to us, I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Okay, so we got that one, and then there's
and what needs to happen in terms of people who are...
Shut up, Kamala. There's another one that I think I might have that's even a little worse, but maybe I don't have. Oh, this one. This is the one where everybody got really onto this. Let's listen to this one as she's at a headquarters.
Because when we think about the strength of our democracy, I think that there's a duality to the nature of democracy. When it's intact, oh, it's so strong.
in terms of what it does to uphold and protect individual rights and freedoms. So strong in its nature. And it is very fragile. It will only be as strong as our willingness to fight for it.
Okay. I am not a police officer. I have never pulled over a drunk before. I gotta ask a question. I gotta ask you, Steve Doran. You've probably pulled over some drunk drivers. Do you think that bitch was drunk in any one of those three videos?
Well, you definitely have probable cause to move on and do some additional sobriety checks. That's a fact. You know, you'd be asking her, are you on medication? Did you just come from the hospital? Blah, blah, blah. You know, you'd be, trying to smell alcohol, that type of thing. So, yeah, it would definitely give you probable cause to move forward just with the slurred speech and all the weird hand gestures.
I like the thing. Brooks, what do you think? Do you think that any of these show her to be drunk? And there's a lot of other clips out there also.
I think people that drink like that day drink on the job, just catch a shot here and there, they don't realize that their liver can no longer handle the alcohol. So just a little bit of alcohol, and even if they're not drunk, they're slurring their speech, their thoughts are drifting, they're way over animated, and you just want to say, hey, you want to get out of here?
Yeah, come back to my place and give me a BJ.
Yeah.
I think she was drunk. And what does it say? What does it say if she has an alcohol problem, if Joe has a dementia problem? Neither one of them can have their finger on the nuclear button.
You'd hope not.
There's reports that she has the highest turnover in staff of any federal employee ever. And like 98% of the people that she's hired have quit after. Apparently she's a drunk and she's an abusive drunk. And there's reports coming out that, yeah, she's drunk all the time. So if that's the case, then she can't be president either, can she, Brooks?
No, you can't. See, the whole thing about the executive in the original Constitution was to put so much power in the hands of one person that actually is impulsive and uncontrollable. That way the enemies can't predict what you're going to do. I mean, you could just retaliate against them. That's why they put all that power in the hands of the executive. But the executive must be clear thinking at all times. You have 86,000 seconds per day. You have 4 years of days. That you must stay sober and free of guile for that entire time. And she just can't.
So, Steve, if this is true about her, and it appears to have some legs here, if she shows up to her speech on Thursday a little bit tipsy, it's going to be pretty revealing, isn't it, as to what the situation is?
Well, I would think so. I mean, let's face it. She's got. I'm not going to say she has mental problems because I don't have the background to say that, but. I mean, she's got some severe emotional problems, and you mix that with alcohol, and it doesn't make for her a good fit for her to be in charge of anything, even the fry line at McDonald's, because she's going to make emotional decisions that are going to go the wrong way.
And someone's going to die.
Yeah, because, I mean, that is really... sorry, guys. I'm just having a hard time catching up with the controls here. Yeah, I mean, you can no more have an alcoholic in charge of the nuclear codes, and you can have a senile old man in charge of the nuclear codes. So, but we all know, of course, that Barack Obama is really running the country, the gay guy who's married to a dude. So, Brooks, any thoughts on how this may proceed? I mean, do you think that there's enough here to get her checked out?
Well, you should think of it like this. Think of the Academy Awards, the Oscars. Some young actor shows up. She's 21 years old. She stars in her first movie. She's been a supporting actress. She stars in her first movie, and she wins an Oscar.
I'm thinking Sydney Sweeney here, but yeah, go ahead.
How wonderful for her, right? But every single actor in that room who's been at it for years never even been nominated for an Oscar. They hate that person. And that's what's going on in the DNC right now. There are big people. There's Hillary Clinton. There are other stalwart Democrats who have paid their dues, done their time, and they should be in that position, not her. She has never brought a vote, never brought a dollar to the DNC, and they're pissed off.
Yep. Okay, let's I think she makes it to Thursday, but let's speculate a little bit into the future and get out of this particular issue. Do you think that she is, well, let's put it this way. Do you think that let's ask the first question. Does Joe Biden get removed before the election so that they can put her in and she can get her hands on the campaign money and so that she can start issuing executive orders to fix the election? Let's ask that question first. Brooks, what do you think?
I think it's going to go brokered, especially with the headline that leaked out of Breitbart today that the platform is still re-elect Joe Biden. If it goes to brokered convention, that is to say, if Kamala Harris cannot get 50% of the delegates on voting day, it becomes a shit show. At that point, that's when the big names start coming out. Just like in 1940, when Roosevelt wasn't even on the ballot. He'd already served 2 terms.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even on the ballot, and he walked away with 86% of the delegates.
Yeah, there was I don't think there was a 22nd Amendment at that time. So he...
No, but I mean, that's not to say that Barack Obama would win a 3rd term, but somebody like Barack Obama, Susan Rice, or, one of the big names that has paid their dues over and over and over again. These people are so livid that the first woman president is about to be Kamala Harris. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Okay, and Steve, do you think that Joe Biden is forced out of the White House before the election so Kamala Harris can run from a position of power as president? And because clearly he's not in charge, I think that'll be completely obvious by the end of this 4-day process. But if they think if they can show her in charge and running things, that people will respond to that. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't believe people are going to respond to anything she does, regardless of where they put her. I would be more apt to believe that, she may have a fatal crash involving alcohol so that they can get somebody else in her place.
Wow. Yeah. And interestingly, Jennifer Faladorian, my buddy, my friend, said she actually saw her not being around. Like that, something like that could happen. So it wouldn't be surprising. They might get that desperate. Okay. So I found this really smart guy on TikTok who made a point. We want to go now back to the Trump assassination, the thing they're trying to memory hole and not talk about. 2 issues here. The first one is, you guys remember, well, let's just play this guy's TikTok and you guys can tell me what you think of what he says. Where are we going? Shit. Where did it go? Damn it. Let me click on that. No. I hate it when this happens. There we go. All right. Did corrupt New York District Judge Juan Merchant have foreknowledge of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump on July 13th? It appears so. If you look at his order that he issued, where he changed the sentencing date, he railroaded Trump, he convicted him in his kangaroo court, and then when a major chunk of his case was overturned, he issued a new sentencing guideline. He was scheduled to sentence Trump on July 11th, my former wedding anniversary, by the way, and instead he changed it to September 18th. Why would he do that? You think at first, or we thought, it was because part of the case had been overturned. But if you listen to what he said, if you look at what was in the memo, it said, I will sentence him at that time if such is still necessary. He wasn't talking about the case being overturned. He was talking about he didn't expect Donald Trump to be alive because he knew. Okay. So that sort of just occurred to me yesterday. And, okay, what the fuck? Yeah, let's do this. Let's not do this. God, I hate this new fucking interface. Okay. If you think about this, what happened was Trump had been convicted. Merchant was scheduled to sentence him on July 11th. Okay. On July 1st or late June, the court threw out 90% of the case, leaving only a few issues. In other words, basically they said he's immune for actions he took as president, which actually is 100% of the case. So then on July 2nd, Merchant issues this order that I'm going to delay the sentencing until September 18th. Why would you do that? Because if you think about it, September 18th is still before the election. So if he was trying to like save everybody this hassle and put it off until after the election or after all of the rulings had been made, all the issues had been reviewed by the courts, he would have put it off till next year, which he was well within his rights to do, or just canceled the whole thing. Instead, he just put it off until September. Now, what would have happened if he had sentenced Trump at the date he had already scheduled? If he had sentenced Trump on July 11th, Donald Trump has to go to prison, or he's in protective custody, or he's locked away in Mar-a-Lago, waiting to surrender himself to authorities. Guess where he's not 2 days later on July 13th? He's not in Pennsylvania. He's not at the rally, and they can't kill him. I think this is solid evidence that Merchant changed the date so that Trump could be murdered, and that's what he went. If such is still necessary, meaning not if the case is overturned, which he knows it's not going to be, but that Donald Trump would not even be with us anymore. Brooks, am I crazy or am I on?
There's another piece of evidence that goes with this. It's by an investigative journalist whose name is George Webb. If you're not following him on Twitter, you need to, or X, because here's what he found out. It dovetails directly into your theory. He was able to crack into the 3 encrypted accounts, the bank accounts that little Tommy was using. And what he found out was that there were several assassins, at least 2, maybe 3, who were living and getting money out of this account. What he was trying to find is who was putting the money in. Now, they found several deposits, 20,000, 40,000, 60,000. It appears that these are sanction orders that go in, and then these assassins go out and kill people. But there was one they couldn't get. And he tried and tried and tried, and he tried this documentation and that program. And a few days ago, they finally discovered it was an $80,000 ping that came into the account from Manhattan. It, I believe, came from Merchant's daughter. She's the one that put the money in to sanction the hit on Donald Trump.
Okay.
That's what Colombians do.
So then the connection between Merchant and the White House, that would mean the order actually came from the White House through the DOJ. Wow. Holy shit. Steve, am I crazy or am I onto something here with this particular?
No, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I mean, there is like, you're 100% correct. There is no such thing as coincidence, at least in my opinion. And the fact that he would because the thing is, if you want to legitimately hurt him, then you put him in jail, lock him up so he can't go out to rallies, he can't do anything, he just has to sit in jail or at his house in Florida, and he can't go anywhere or do anything. So that would immensely hurt his campaign. Why would you let him walk and continue to go to rallies and campaign?
Exactly, because they're going to kill him. So my only hope in this is that Merchant is going to now be included in the list of people who aren't going to be around much longer. Brooks?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Comer wants. I mean, Comer is leading the investigation, but this is a toothless congressional investigation. They have no authority. All they can do is make a referral to the DOJ, and you know where that's going to go. Nowhere.
In the toilet.
Exactly. The whole thing is a show. They have no authority. They can't arrest anybody. They can accuse, they can waste our time with hearings and investigations, but until somebody with a badge says you have the right to remain silent, there's no justice served.
Yep. And that's unfortunately the situation that we're in. Okay, another controversy came up, raised its ugly head again, which is that there is video of what the police are saying is Thomas Matthew Crooks walking around at the Trump rally before the Trump rally. And there's also, there continues to be this dispute over whether it's really Thomas Matthew Crooks or somebody else named Maxwell Urich, who is an Antifa guy. And there's a video out there that, let's run a little bit of this video and look at the death picture versus this guy Crooks. And I got to be honest, I think it looks a lot more like this Urich guy than it does look like Crooks.
Look at the Photoshop mistake underneath the right ear. See the foliage? There's no foliage on the roof.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Interesting. There's the guy on the roof.
He's not rolling off, by the way.
A minute or two before the shoot.
Yeah, I like it there. Yeah, I don't know if he has a little bit. Okay, so let's stop this here because this is really kind of a shitty video. But I want you to notice a couple things about this. Notice the cut in the guy's earlobe. That's because this guy Urich had these, I don't know what you call them, the big stupid open things that stretch your ear out. And when they sew them back together,
The plugs.
butt plugs, whatever they are.
Gauges.
That's what they look like. That's what the scars look like. The other thing is that the chin looks more like this Urich guy, as does the nose. Then it looks like Crooks. The other thing is that this guy Urich had 2 moles right here under his jaw. And guess what? The guy on the roof that's dead has these 2 tiny little moles. They look like vampire bites on his neck. I mean, I've gone through this. I wish there was a better, more cohesive video. I've also seen there's a guy who's out there trying to poo-poo all this. I want to do a serious investigation, but he actually looked at these pictures and said, "Oh no, that's Crooks." And I mean, I thought the guy was honest because he's an experienced shooter, but clearly to me, the nose, the chin, the moles, the ears say that that's Urich and not Crooks. If that's the case, what have we got going here, Steve? What's the conspiracy that's going on here?
Well,
Why do you do that?
Well, something that came out today was that the police timeline was totally off. And James Woods, who spoke at the rally, literally said that he saw Crooks sitting in his car in the parking lot when he was leaving the rally. So, that being said, it makes a lot of sense, because if James Woods is right and the timeline the police gave is wrong, then that means that Crooks couldn't have done it.
Yeah. What do you think, Brooks? Let me show you another graphic I got here. Some comparisons. I don't think that picture on the right looks a lot like Uric, but again, the guy that's dead, they're similar, but if you look at it, the nose, the ears, the chin, and the birthmark things, are like they're a lot closer to Uric than they are to Crooks.
Well,
it's hard to tell. We'd really have to see the tattoos to know. But by the way, the other thing that came out today, the Anons found Tommy's car. They found the car. The police weren't even looking for it. The car was abandoned. It was parked in front of a nursery, and they found the car today. So they've turned it over to the cops. The cops are trying to go through the car now. We don't have any information from it, but the cops weren't even looking for his car. So if he was sitting in his car the way, he says, then he drove away and left his car and disappeared. That would be what an assassin would do. But what if they got him anyway? They don't. I mean, they've already cremated the body of the assassin, so there's no way.
That's what I was going to say. There's no way now you'll be able to tell which one of these two guys it is, because they cremated the body within 10 days
and hosed off the roof, so people can't even go back and get DNA samples.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, whether it's Osama bin Laden or, a man who kills the president, that they cremate the body within days of the incident, when they may still need things from that body to complete an investigation. I mean, that's never done. If Joe Blow on the street is murdered and the suspect is killed, they don't bury him within 3 or 4 days. Until that investigation is closed, they hang on to the body.
Yeah, and so again, everything about this smells really, really bad. Oh, wait a minute. Is Blake here? Blake? Hello? Blake and Brian? Blake, are you there?
Blake.
We're about to get a live report. Let me text Blake, see if I can get his attention that way.
You bring up a very good comparison of Osama bin Laden. Arguably the most valuable intelligence asset on the planet. And they could have bagged him and tagged him. They were armored from head to toe. But they shoot him in the face and then dump him in the sea.
Yeah. I mean, why would you do that?
Well, and they also gave him a fucking Muslim burial. I would have stuffed him with Spam into every orifice and thrown him into the sea, videotaped the whole thing and put it all over and said, "This is what happens to you if you go against the United States." But
I maintain that he was already dead. He'd been dead for years.
Yeah. Okay, I can't. Where is Blake on here? Well, Blake was here for a second, but now Blake's not. So, all right, guys. What other issues? Anybody else have anything there? There's a lot of fake polls out there, and they're all fake. Trump is up, according to Rasmussen. Trump is up by like 7 points with independents. There's all these push polls trying to make it look, and there isn't a single poll. Let me just calm everybody down. There is not a single poll that doesn't oversample Democrats by at least 5% that has Kamala Harris even within 5 or 10 points of Donald Trump. In other words, they have to overpoll Democrats by 5 to 7 to 9% to even get her close, much less ahead. So don't believe any of these polls. Guys, what do you think the game is going to be from here on out? I mean, do you think that we're going to have so many huge events and things happening that it just becomes like we don't even have an election? What do you think, Brooks?
Well, I think that we have a type in a shadow, and that is the primary election that took place in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar. 0 votes counted for like, I don't know, an hour and 45 minutes. No votes, 0%. And all of a sudden at 9:37, 99% of the votes are counted and Ilhan Omar wins. That's what we expect to see on election night.
Wow, holy shit, I'm just seeing something right now. Guys, let me bring this up. This is a little creepy. This is from the shooting again. Let me show you this video here, get it as big as I can. This is the building underneath.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, people are saying it's just a digital artifact. I don't know about that.
Well, here's the kicker about that video. 2 minutes after those flashes happened, there was a guy that I forget his son walked out the front door.
Wow. Now everybody says that's too low an angle. I don't know, Steve. That's stabilized. What do you think? Does that look like shots to you from somebody in the behind the window inside the building?
Looks like it to me. And by the way, the person who said I need to move my hand, I'm holding my microphone up because we're having some problems.
Right.
Anyway, from a position like that, you can put your weapon on a tripod. You can get a real secure location where you can take, very, locked in aim shots. So, I mean, it's very feasible to shoot from a location like that. I mean, they can put it on a tripod, lock that tripod in, adjust it just to make the shot, pull the trigger, and out they go. So, it's not a bad location.
And doesn't the fact that it's inside a building kind of create automatic suppression too? I mean, you don't hear the sound.
That's what we talked about. We talked about before where, when a sniper sets up inside of a building, he doesn't stick his rifle out the window like in the movies. He takes and he'll go 3 or 4 feet back in the room. Oh, Blake's here. I'll shut up.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll get back to that. Blake and Brian. No, we just lost them. Okay. So, it is kind of the perfect setup. People are saying, "Oh no, the angle's too low. There's foliage in the way." But I don't know that I think that that's actually true.
You'd actually have to go there and stand in front of the window and see what you can see from there. But the reality is, like I said, that's how snipers set up. They go back in the room. It's noise suppression. People don't know where the shots are coming from. They can't see the flash. Unless, you're right next to the building, you really can't tell where the shots are coming from. I mean, it's a perfect location.
And Brooks, looking at that version of it, those look like shots. That doesn't look like some sort of digital artifact or reflection off of some metallic object in the window. It doesn't look like that to me at all.
Well, it looks like that, but I did see another video of someone who went back and filmed that window, and it wasn't open, and there's no hole in the glass. So I don't know if it was a flare or a reflection or whatever, but no one was shooting out the window because those are casement windows, and they open out, and obviously that window is not open.
Okay. Let's go to Blake and Brian in Chicago. Boys, can you hear us?
Hold on. Great to be here. I can't hear anything. But
you can't hear anything?
We're plugged in, but I don't hear you. Hard to... buddy. Greeting. You get the...
Can we hear it this way?
There we go.
Gentlemen, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we hear you fine. Nope. Yeah. 5 by 5, man.
They can hear us. We can't hear them.
Oh, they can?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you can hear us, Blake, why don't you give a little report here?
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
We're in Chicago for the DNC.
Yep, massive police presence here. There was a protest and a march down Chicago. I guess down...
Talk right into the camera.
Oh, okay. Right down the road here, pro-Palestine rally is the second night in a row. And they're going to do another one, I think, on Thursday for sure. So it got pretty exciting for a bit, but the looks like it kind of is anticlimactic. There's a few arrests, but not too much violence that we saw. It's kind of petered out a little bit. We'll see if there's another protest that marched down the road, but not hearing too much.
And similar to yesterday, there was a bit of a game of cat and mouse. The groups would set up and they would move a block down. Then they would follow them, and then the bike cops would come. There's a strong police presence, similar to when I was out in the Bronx for the Trump speech out there. They turned into a scuffle right off the bat, and they squashed it because they wanted to. It just goes to show that blue city mayors, blue city governors, blue city government, they can protect the city if they feel like it. But that's usually only if the DNC is in town, it seems. Otherwise, they'll let the entire country burn in the summer of love as long as they can help get rid of Orange Man bad. So, Blake, since we can't hear the gentleman here,
we won't stay long then, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess we'll stay tuned. So you check. We're trying to put some media out there, and we'll keep following the situation here, and hopefully things stay relatively peaceful. They're trying to make it sound like it's going to be like the resurrection of 1968 when things got really crazy. Trying to, but they're definitely prepared for that. They have a huge presence of police everywhere. They boxed us out of the park the other day. They're just huge numbers, and they just stand in massive lines, and nobody can get through that.
So you
and
can't
let's hope it stays peaceful.
Indeed. So just check it out if you can. Blake's on X at TV's Blake Wally, and check out the New American Media at American_Media_. We're putting stuff out on the YouTube channels as well. Lots of interviews, man on the street, and just as this situation develops, we'll check in. So sorry I can't hear you, man. We have the earbuds and everything, but we're just not getting audio. We love you guys. You got to do the thing, Blake. You got to do the arm. Yes, you got to do the arm. Thank you, gentlemen. Peace.
Bye, guys. All right, that was cool of them to pop in and say hello to us. Steve, Blake, anything, or Steve or Brooks, anything else you guys want to cover that we didn't cover on the show yet today? I think we sit back and just wait for this shit show to. I think the Democrats are digging themselves a bigger hole every hour that goes by, but that's just me. Brooks,
well, more and more things are being uncovered on a daily basis just because, we live in a world where everybody has a video camera. And the latest discovery that the Democrats dang sure didn't want to get out was when James O'Keefe found out that they're shipping, I think from Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, they're shipping, I don't know, like 20 or 30 planes full of illegals a day to like Chicago, New York, and those areas, and it's all about the money. The company that's doing it is quote unquote, a 501c3, and they've literally so far have made over $1 billion, not a million, with a B, $1 billion. So all these money trails are being exposed. Because don't think that part of that $1 billion isn't going back into the hands of the Democrat.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. Brooks.
Well, Tony Saruga published several numbers today. One of them was that he's been tracking cell phone devices. And right now in Chicago, there are over 107,000 known cell phone devices with Antifa. Now, here's the kicker. Several hundred of them, like 300, 400 of them, they were in Qatar. They were in Qatar 2 weeks ago. These cell phones, these devices were in Qatar 2 weeks ago.
I'm still calling it Qatar. I don't care what they call it.
Right.
Like Qatar. But yeah, isn't that interesting that they're terrorist cell phones? So interesting stuff.
Did anybody ever think that Antifa was anything other than a terrorist organization?
And well, if we did, it's certainly not the case now. So, okay, guys, I think that's going to wrap it for tonight. Let's get all back and watch the shit show. I like to watch a guy named Depressed Ginger on YouTube because he's pretty funny, and he's actually got a little bit of Tourette syndrome. He does this little pop thing. But he just laughs his way through it, so it makes the lies less infuriating. That's what I'm doing, is I'm watching people live comment on the bullshit rather than having to listen to the bullshit. But let me just tell you, Joe, sending out the daughter that you molested when she was 8 to talk about her 8th birthday when Daddy showed up, and I mean, that was not a very good mood, very good move on your part, Joe. The screaming, the dementia, it just shows, I think, what a complete mess the Democrats are right now. Anybody else have any final thoughts before we head out of here?
Well, in my case, I'm an old man. I've been on the road, just got home, so I am going to go to bed and see if there's any holes in my eyelids.
Sounds good to me. Brooks, any final thoughts or plans before we get out of here? Maybe next week we'll have some more interesting news to talk about after.
Yeah, maybe next week we will have pictures of our slab done.
Oh,
I'm going to go out in the man cave and have a cigar. How about that?
Sounds good. All right, guys, thanks for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to visit the CBD Gurus, Mike Barrett Pets. Don't forget to get your Ledger Nano S crypto wallet. You get $10 of free Bitcoin. I get $10 of free Bitcoin. Everybody wins. And don't forget, if you're going to buy gold or silver, go to milesfranklin.com and tell him Mike Barrett sent you, because I'll get a little bit of a share of that too. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. We will see you next week.